sorry, Royal fans. I have friends that are Royals fans. It just comes down to they have no pitching. They have no pitching. Either starting or relief pitching. It's probably the weakest staff in the major leagues when I was looking at everything. And if you are joining me, I see people are online with us. If you are joining us, let me know where you're calling in from or watching from. Feel free to comment any of the things I'm saying or the picks or players or memories you have of these teams or what you maybe expect from these teams, or tell me that I'm completely crazy. I'd love to hear from you. But yeah, the Royals are just, last year they got lucky because the Twins tanked. Salvio Perez had an amazing year. He had an absolutely amazing year. And they have the number one prospect in baseball, and he's having a killer spring. So Bobby Witt Jr., if you're my age, you might remember Bobby Witt, pitcher. Played for the Rangers for a long time, played with Nolan Ryan on the Rangers. Bobby Witt Jr. is a stud. He looks like he's 12. He totally looks like he's 12, but he's tearing up the spring. And he's legit. He's probably going to start at third base. He's a shortstop by trade. He'll get there eventually, but they couldn't keep him down. I have to give the Royals credit too. They didn't play with service time issues with this kid, kind of like the Cubs did with Chris Bryant several years ago. It's like they just needed him, which I found kind of weird, to be honest with you. I mean, it's a business, and I understand those things. I think players understand those things. Especially with a team that's not going anywhere. Like with the Cubs, they were on the brink and they won the division that year. So there were things in play there where this, business-wise, I'm not sure it was the greatest business deal, especially Kansas City being a smaller market and, knowing that they can't hold on to people once their initial contracts are up. Where is Bobby Witt going to stay, or is he going to go to a bigger market? So we'll see. So trying to hold on to him as long as you can, I would have thought would be ideal, but got to give him credit. You got to give him credit. Maybe they've had conversations with Bobby and kind of knew his feelings, and so we'll go. I think Chris Bryant always kind of held a little bit of a grudge for that. So kudos to the Rangers, or the Royals rather. Zach Greinke's coming back. Greinke came up with the Royals many moons ago. So they're getting Zach Greinke back. Now it's not the Zach Greinke that left Kansas City or was in, the other places you're at in the Dodgers or the Diamondbacks or wherever he was at. So they're not getting the same pitcher. He's definitely older. I'm not sure of his age. 36, 7, 8, somewhere in there. I did not look that up. But one of the things I also added tonight that came up last night, and just kind of me talking out loud. This is just me talking. Again, if you didn't listen to last night's show, I've done this on my own for many years. I just sit down before the season starts and I pick the standings. I predict the standings. I've always paid attention to baseball. I've always paid attention to minor leagues. I watch the news. I watch the transactions. I think about baseball all the time. And so this is something I've always just done for fun. And since I had this show, I was like, oh, I'll just do this. I'll do this on the show and kind of hold myself accountable with this, and hopefully get some people in the conversations and so forth, and hopefully do this along with me. Like next year, hopefully we'll be able to follow our ship, and we'll have several people doing it with me. And I still may do this, and this might be one way to get me to get through some of the other episodes by bringing some guests on. I don't like doing the show solo. I've only done it once or twice. I did have fun last night, though. I got to geek out on baseball, and I didn't like it going in, but I really enjoyed it. So we'll see. But I'm going to try to bring in some guests. So if you are a fan of these teams, like I have several friends from this division. I wish I could have pulled that off. But Dodger fans, I have a lot of Dodger fans. I have Marlin fans, Mets fans. So if you are a fan of a particular team and want to join me on one of the episodes, either on these preview shows, or we will be doing full episodes. We've done so far the Indians, the Tigers, and the Mets, I think, and we have the Cubs coming up. We did the Reds too with Scott Utz. We have the Mets. The Cubs coming up, that's another announcement I want to say. That was scheduled for this Sunday. I am not doing it this Sunday. I am going to push that one off. Just too much for me to do right now, and the Cubs are the love of my life, so I need to spend a little more time with that one, and I'm trying to coordinate some schedules to bring some people on. So I will not be doing that show on Sunday. I'll find a new date for it. We will be doing the White Sox one coming up here with my friend Bobby Mack. We'll be doing the Cardinals. I'm doing it with my friend Sean Wade. So some other ones coming, but we'll get to all the teams eventually, not just in baseball, but in football, around the NFL draft, probably right after the draft, really. We'll have a few NFL episodes, then back in the fall or, towards August when camp starts and so forth, we'll have some more NFL time there. So anyway, Royals, sorry, got sidetracked on the Royals. So one of the things I was saying that we added from last night's show is we talked about payroll, or I talked about payroll last night. Excuse me. So I added payroll on here because I think it's interesting, especially in this division. You're going to see a discrepancy, a huge discrepancy in payroll. And I'll have to look at these other divisions, the Dodgers with their payroll. I don't know what San Diego is high. I'm trying to think. Arizona is probably not real high. I can actually probably look that up while we're online, but I put the payrolls on there because I think it's interesting. I think it's, especially as you're looking at the minor leagues and so forth and how important that is moving forward and having the right staff. I talked about this last night, having the right analytic people, the right baseball minds, and really making the best decisions you can. And there's teams that do this really well, like the Rays from the American League East. I think the Indians have done a really great job in that as well. They're a small market team, but they've been competitive for many years. They haven't not been competitive for a very long time. They had the stretch in the 90s and the 2000s, and they've really only had a few down years, and they're a small market, as you'll see today. Their payroll is really low. It's the second lowest in the league. I think, we have the White Sox, and we'll see this as we go through this, but I think the White Sox are at 179 million, somewhere around there. The Indians are at 37 million. So that's a huge, huge discrepancy. And again, I do see people online. So if you are watching us, let me know where you're watching from, who your favorite team is. Call me out on some of my BS on here, whatever you want to say, but let me know you're watching. So payrolls, I talked about the farm system a lot. So I actually, on the snapshot of every team, which will be the last scene for every team, you're going to see the minor league affiliations. And again, that's decreased this year. They've shortened, maybe it was last year they started this, but they shrunk the major leagues considerably. So I have the AAA, AA, the high A, and low A teams on here. And I'm highly encourage people to make it out to minor league games. It's just, even if you're not a sports fan, they do such a great job of family entertainment. There's always stuff happening in between innings. It's cheap. There's always 10-cent taco night or free hot dogs or cheap beer. All those things. They're really creative with their marketing. They're trying to get people there. And, it's just a really great time, even if you're not a huge sports fan, but particularly if you're a baseball fan, you get to see some of these young stars. Like I just mentioned, there's so many young stars in the game right now that were just in the last 2-3 years, we're in, A and double A, and you would have been able to see them and tell your kids one day you saw these Hall of Famers. So it's just fun. It's just a great atmosphere. It's better atmosphere than going to major league games, which is, ridiculously expensive now. I mean, baseball's still less expensive than the other major sports, but it's just, continue to go up and up and up. So I highly encourage you to get out to minor league stadiums. And I know a lot of friends that grew up as a certain fan, like a Cleveland fan, that moved away to another area, and there are minor league teams in their area that they went and watched. And so they started seeing those kids come up and then go up to the major leagues. So they kind of changed affiliations a little bit, or at least followed them into the major leagues and so forth. So anyway, highly encourage that. Royals, let's take a look at their lineup. I always say Mir Whitfield for Whit Merrifield. I can never say that. So Whit Merrifield, is a great player. He's been around for a little bit, just a solid player. But Bobby Witt there at third base, he's going to move over to shortstop at some point. But this lineup is not bad. Andrew Benintendi, came on strong at the end of last season, struggled at first. So this, you got Salvador Perez in there, who's, had a monster year, 48 homers, 121 RBIs, just a career year for him. But, the rest of this lineup just, Carlos Santana, as much as I love him being an ex-Indian, I think he's done. I've watched him. He had a bad year last year. He's on the downside. I don't expect him to stick around all season with them. They have some other young people. Again, they're not going anywhere. Why not get it back to some of these young people? They have a good farm system, as you'll see in a little bit. So get some of these young players going. Michael Taylor's a solid, center fielder. But again, this is the projected lineup. it's good, but they're working it. And again, I feel for Bobby Witt. He's probably the most exciting player in baseball right now. Everybody's talking about him. He's having a huge spring. He's a fun player to watch. We'll see how many games Kansas City gets on national television, and maybe they will just for Bobby Witt. So it's worth checking out Royals games just to see this kid play. And again, if you're a T-Mobile fan, get the MLB.com or MLB TV package, even if you're not on T-Mobile. $140. If you're a baseball fan, you can watch it from anywhere on your phone, tablet, TV, stream it to your TV, listen to every radio game. So even if you're not on T-Mobile, which you get for free this coming Tuesday, get it so you can see it all. It's awesome. If you already have it, give me a thumbs up or give me a hello in the chat. I talked about pitching. It's not there. Their bullpen's not strong. Their starting staff's not strong. And not that these arms aren't worthy or major league worthy. It's just as a staff, it's just not there. It's just not there. And they're a little bit of ways. They're going to score some runs. I don't know where they were last year in runs scored, but it's pitching for them. It's just pitching, especially when this is such an offensive league right now. They're just going to struggle. Again, Zach Greinke isn't the pitcher he used to be. And again, maybe he comes back and so forth. So we'll see. Some of the prospects we talked about, Bobby Witt, Nick Parato's a first baseman. I thought I saw something about him being injured. He might be injured. MG Melendez is also a great catcher. He's a top prospect. I think he's a top 10 prospect overall. He's kind of stuck behind Perez, and they have another catcher on the staff, young catcher on the staff too. So he's kind of stuck. So we'll see what they do with some of this talent. You're probably going to see Pareto. I thought I saw he had some kind of injury, but again, I haven't caught up the last few days and so forth. But again, Royals are going to be a fun team to watch. Last night's episode, the Orioles, who were dreadfully awful last year, 52 and 110. So in comparing these two bottom-dwelling teams, the Orioles have so much more upside than the Royals do. Both their farm systems are pretty solid. I'll just move forward here so you can see. Their farm system. Did it say on that last screen actually? I forgot where it was. Maybe I took it off. But their farm system is good. But the Orioles they have a really bright future. They have the top one or two. So it's Bobby Witt and Adley Rutschman, the two people that almost everybody says is 1-2 top prospects, and they have the top pitching prospect too. So I think the Orioles are in much better shape moving forward than Kansas City is. The Orioles play in a much tougher division. So comparing the two bottom teams in these divisions, the Orioles are going to be a really exciting team to watch. They have young talent on that team ready to go. Here you're going to have Bobby Witt and some other young players. But they're a little bit of ways. I think they have to kind of redefine themselves. Salvi Perez isn't young. So they're going to have to make those decisions coming up soon too. So Kansas City's a great baseball town. George Brett's one of my favorite players of all time. They have obviously great baseball tradition in Kansas City. It's one of the stadiums or one of the places I've always wanted to go and see a game. Never been fortunate enough to do that yet. I will get there at some point. But yeah, I'd like to see them do well and bounce back. They won the World Series a few years ago, and that was awesome. But they aren't gonna sustain that. And these smaller market teams may have runs like that. It's the rare case, Tampa Bay, rare case where you can do that. You're gonna have those one-off years or maybe 2 years where you kind of your talent materializes and you get to hold on to them, that you'll have a few years that are playoffs and beyond, but it's hard to maintain it. These smaller markets just can't afford to keep these players once they go to their next contract, they become free agents. So that's kind of where Kansas City finds themselves. So I have them at 76 and 86. That is 2 more games than last year. So I have them. They were last year. They were 4th place because the Twins sucked. So they had 74 wins last year. I have them at 76 wins this year, and that was only because Bobby Witt Jr. That was really the only reason there. But I do have them in the cellar. I do not have them in 4th place like they finished last year. So however you want to see it. So either they win 2 more games or they drop a thing in the standings. So we'll see. So There is your Royals preview. Let's